Don't listen to men's rights activists if you want to know what they have to say.
Don't listen to men's rights activists if you want to know what they have to say. Don't listen to men's rights activists if you want to know what they have to say.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Breaking Badger News. My name is Brian.
I'm Lindsay.
And we're looking at today's story. It's not really a men's rights story. At least it might not appear to be on its face, but I think that it's definitely something important. You may have seen a couple of reports on this. So let's just get into it. So Apple CEO Tim Cook defended the banning of speech and news media on Apple platforms, that includes iTunes, for example, when they are not in accordance with the values of the company. These remarks were made at an event sponsored by the Anti-Defamation League, which presented Cook with the, quote, Courage Against Hate Award. By the way, I looked up the Courage Against Hate Award to see if anyone else had ever won one before, and I've seen no record online. So if you guys know of any other people that may have gotten the award before Cook got it, I'd be curious to see who's won it in the past, you know, like if they've given it to Louis Farrakhan or Barack Obama or something. I don't know, but I haven't seen it. The event was the third annual Never Is Now Summit, which is a conference that's a one-day conference that's focused on, quote, understanding contemporary drivers of anti-Semitism, end quote.
Wait. Never is now.
Yeah.
That confuses me.
I don't know why they call it Never Is Now.
Seems like a weak, if not bad, motto.
I guess what they're trying to say is never speaking hate speech happens now. Being anti-Semitic doesn't happen, like, is never be anti-Semitic is happening now.
Always utopia is now?
Yeah, it's like looking for solutions now, right? So these things never happen again. That's the only thing I could figure.
Right.
Because it was put on...
Never again?
Yeah, never again. Well, they could have called it Never Again
now.
Now. Yeah, they could have done that.
It's still confusing. I don't get it.
Yeah, no, I know. So, this was the Anti-Defamation League's thing. So even though the the ADL is supposed to be a group, website, whatever you want to call it, organization that has a focus on fighting anti-Semitism, they actually operate on a much broader scale. You know, to be honest, there doesn't seem to be any difference between the ADL and the SPLC. I mean, I think that they probably share their lists and work with each other. Because I looked at the ADL and I saw that while it definitely has a focus on combating anti-Semitism, there is a section on gender equity. There's a section on race, fighting racism and all the other isms and obias. So they are basically like an SJW hub, right? And a lot of the information they get about who they consider to be part of a hate group and who isn't, it all comes from the same kind of sources that the Southern Poverty Law Center gets theirs. It's like based on opinion pieces and the way that they choose to interpret shit, you know. So I just want you guys to see where the bias is at so you get an idea of, what we're looking at here. So this is to give a little bit of context to CEO Tim Cook's talk. Of course, Tim Cook, who is apparently openly gay, was using the platform to make what maybe some people might consider to be a broader point about hate speech and problematic language. So I thought that we would give it a watch and respond to it so you guys can see the clip. Is that cool?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
At Apple, we believe that technology needs to have a clear point of view on this challenge. There is no time to get tied up in knots. That's why we only have one message for those who seek to push hate, division, and violence.
Hate and division. Who is pushing that?
Yeah, really. I don't know. And also, who's pushing? How do you push violence on the internet?
Like without inciting?
Yeah. Okay, let's put it this way. Who has Apple removed from their platform? Alex Jones?
I don't know.
Alex Jones.
Alex
right?
Jones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
That's it?
that's all I know of. I mean, I'm sure there are other people that don't have, like, maybe they can't access, like they can't use iTunes to distribute their podcasts or other media. But, like, see, the thing is, I find this really troubling because I think that he does make a point about Alex Jones, and in context is important. So, at this conference, the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League opened with an opening statement. That there's a 20-minute long video, and in it he talks about Alex Jones. He talks about the alt-right news media sources that are anti-Semitic and extremist, and how they are a threat, to the online world. And he also mentions Donald Trump, right? Orange man bad. Like, he literally does all of that. And so if you think about it in the context of that guy was talking about that stuff, and then Tim Cook, who's a guest at the same event, comes on and talks about this stuff, it wouldn't be a stretch to say that there's a relationship between who is being addressed in both of those talks. But as far as I know, the only people that Apple's taken off of their platform that I would be concerned with defending would be InfoWars.
Yeah.
And also, there's another thing about the SPLC. I looked, or the ADL. It doesn't matter. It's the same fucking group, as far as I can tell. If you look up there, they have a resource library, and I believe in here they have the if you narrow this down and just select women's equity, so this filters the topic, right? Mm-hmm. So they don't even call it women's equality. They just call it women's equity, which is equality of outcome. But if you click that, it breaks down groups.
Proud Boys.
Proud Boys are right at the top, right?
Yeah.
So now, are the Proud Boys misogynists? Do they want to take away women's rights? I don't think so. That's why I said, the anti-Semitism thing isn't that important, because there is a lot more going on here.
You have no place on our platforms. You have no home here. From the earliest days of iTunes to Apple Music today, we have always prohibited music with a message of white supremacy.
Okay.
What about black supremacy?
Yeah. What about music that has the word nigger in it constantly and objectifies, well, supposedly by your standards, objectifies women in hip-hop or in... or music in hip-hop by women? What about Nicki Minaj's music? What about, I don't know, there's probably other female rapper. I was going to say Lil' Kim or something, but that's kind of ancient.
Yeah.
But, but like that stuff doesn't count. It's like, it's this one directional thing. And that's, I think that's worth pointing out. Again, not a men's issue per se, but think about it. Tim Cook is basically telling us that they are going to be the arbiters of what should and should not be allowed a platform based on what they perceive to be that they're fighting against hate speech. But the problem is that what they think is hate speech does not apply evenly. It's all very, very selective. They decide this is okay, this is not okay, right? Though it's not applied universally, because they're going to leave up, Jay-Z's music and fucking, all these other hip hop artists are going to stay up, and any other music that is maybe like more sexual than not, or involves I don't know, like content that if you just changed who was the person in charge, they would deem that to be sort of haram, right? Like, let's say that Apple was founded and run by a Christian fundamentalist. And they said, well, there shouldn't be any adult content on a platform because we think it's incites hate and objectification of women. Or if feminists ran it, which would result in the same thing. So the problem is that these guys are deciding what should and shouldn't be there based on a set of very, very inconsistent rules.
Yeah. They're the new Puritans.
Yeah.
They're the better Puritans. We should listen to them. Orange Man bad.
Let's see what he says next.
Why? Because it's the right thing to do. And as we showed this year, we won't give a platform to violent conspiracy theorists on the App Store.
That's
violent conspiracy theorists?
Yeah, violent conspiracy theorists. Now, he says, as we showed this year, so this has to be, he doesn't name him.
I've seen Alex Jones rip off his shirt and go running around like a crazy man, but is that a violent conspiracy theorist? Is that the definition?
No, their definition of violence, they're working with this broadened definition of violence, and we all know that, right? This is what the left is really great at doing, is like altering language to include whatever they need. So a person who gets passionate in front of his microphone, pounds his fist on the table. That's about as much as I can think of for Alex Jones, right? Maybe like he says a bunch of crazy shit. That is violence to them. Words are violence.
Why? Because it's the right thing to do. My friends, if we can't be clear on moral questions like these, then we've got big problems.
But you're not clear. Nobody's clear on those moral problems. Unless, like, you are our new, like, religious priest or something. Like, what is this?
It's the right thing to do.
But according to what? Like, it's not in our laws.
He's full on NPC.
I mean, not in America anyway.
No, it's not in America. We're still a free country for now. Yeah, no, I mean that's just it. Like he's basically making the case that we know there is a group of people that have a clear idea of what is morally right and what is morally wrong, and they're the ones that should be making the rules.
Well,
right?
I didn't appoint them.
No, no one did.
At Apple, we are not afraid to say that our values drive our curation decisions. And why should we be? Doing what's right, creating experiences free from violence and hate, experiences that empower creativity and new ideas, is what our customers want us to do.
Wow, that guy is literally selling Apple to people by saying that they don't hate. It's so obvious.
I believe the most sacred thing that each of us is given is our judgment, our morality, our own innate desire to separate right from wrong. Choosing to set that responsibility aside at a moment of trial is a sin.
Well, my judgment is that you're wrong.
Well, exactly. Like,
it's
what does
sacred.
that...
It's sacred, so you better respect my judgment.
Right. What does it mean if you say that our judgment is sacred? Like, somebody else just has a different opinion.
I love the words he uses, too. It's a sin.
Yeah.
Judgment is sacred.
Yeah, it's very religious stuff, right? One other thing, too, that's worth pointing out is that up until now, the discussion around, like, how... around social media censorship of voices. I won't even say... I know that there's like conservatives out there that basically call this that they're censoring conservatives. I don't think it's limited to that. I think it's conservating... They are censoring people who don't agree with them to the degree that they find satisfactory. Because you don't... I mean, like, it doesn't have to just be a conservative thing. But the discussion around that, when Mark Zuckerberg was at the Congress and the people were interviewing him. The thing they were trying to get at, I think, where it fell down to the core was: is this a public forum or is this a publisher or a curator? And they were dodging that. But this guy has made it really clear that Apple is curating what goes there and what doesn't go there. And if that's the case, then we are looking at least in terms of Apple, I guess like a more legislative discussion that we can have about this. So, because of course, at this time, Apple can do whatever they like. But I think you guys should know that this guy was speaking at the ADL, the sponsored event called, what was it again? The Never Is Now Summit, where he got the Courage Against Hate Award. That same group has the Proud Boys listed as I guess, an anti-woman group. And that means that, like, how long will it be from now until then Apple will start removing other platforms that are just promoting, say, like, men's issues? Because I wouldn't say the Proud Boys aren't MRAs, but they're like, they are men that do have a concern about men's issues, I think, on some level, even if they don't know exactly.
Maybe more masculinity itself.
Yeah, but they also, like, protect people from Antifa and stuff like that, right? Western chauvinists is what they call themselves. But it's like a joke, right? So I think that I think it's definitely something that you should be thinking about. And know that what the Anti-Defamation League considers to be hate speech, hate groups, that kind of thing. It's the same thing that the SPLC considers that. And they're both equally not credible. At least that's what I think.
Yeah. I think what pushes people to really hate other groups of people is fear and paranoia. And the only thing I'm really paranoid about right now is like this free speech stuff. So there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I find it to be just as important as the men's issues that I like to talk about. Because if we don't have the free speech, we can't talk about the men's issues, right? It takes precedence. That's why this video is here. So I agree. It is worrisome. And, I don't like the idea that these fucking, Silicon Valley people are deciding who should and should not get to talk.
Yeah, and also I think that breeds paranoia. If you're, like, censoring people, then they might get even more fearful, and they'll find other ways to talk to each other. And you're not changing anything. At least in my opinion, I don't think it really does what you think it does.
No, I mean, actually, it could be worse than that. Like, if people don't find another way to communicate their ideas, it may actually just end up becoming violent.
Right.
When nobody has, like, speech, violence becomes that often becomes the next step.
Right.
So, and I don't want that. I want to avoid that if at all possible.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Violence is bad, okay?
Okay. Well, I don't know if I agree with that. I'm kidding. All right. Well, anyway, we're going to go ahead and take off. Thanks, guys, for coming on this edition of Breaking Badger News. Let me know what you think about this whole Tim Cook situation and what he said. Do you think he finally, just put his foot in his mouth? Is this going to bite him in the ass? Or is it at the point now where these corporations can just say whatever they want and call people racist and sexist, and it doesn't matter because most of the public and their politicians are going to believe it? Let me know in the comment section below what you think. Thanks again for coming on the show, and have a lovely, lovely day.
Bye.